I played over 100 days of Sunberry Village, and here's what happened. Sunberry Village is the newest expansion mod for Stardew Valley. It released just a few months ago, and I have been waiting for this mod for over 2 years, featuring new areas, new villagers, an own museum collection, mine levels, fish species, crops, and a cat cafe. Yes, there is an actual cat cafe, I am 100% serious. If that sounds cozy to you, then get comfy, grab a snack, maybe some tea, and without further ado, enjoy the video. My modded adventure began just like any other run, waking up on day number 1 in my new home. But unlike the usual parsnip seeds, this time I got 10 strawberry seeds and a preserve jar. This is the default starter gift on Skelt's Wildhaven farm, which is actually from the same creator who uploaded the Sunberry mod. This map is absolutely ginormous. Not really sure if I'm ever gonna utilize all of this space, but it's certainly handy to have. After marveling at my brand new property, I noticed that I already had mail. A letter from Diala and Daria inviting me to their cat cafe, as well as my first edition from the Shrooms and Blooms magazine. Usually at this point in the video I would go over the different goals that I had for this first in-game year, but to be completely honest with you, I didn't really have any. Well, at least not any as ambitious as in previous runs. When I started recording this a few weeks ago, I was mostly playing this for my own enjoyment. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make a video on this, let alone a 100 days movie, so for now, I wanted to focus on exploring Sunberry as much as possible, get to know all of the different villagers, and also play around with the Wildflour Artisan expansion, since these two mods are kinda like the main focus of this playthrough. I cleared out enough space to plant all of the seeds that I got, made a chest to free up my inventory, and headed into town. At the grocery store I met our first new villager, Sterling, who works part-time for Piers, and he's part of my favorite mini expansion, Always Raining in the Valley, which I'm gonna talk about a bit more later. I already had a decent amount of crops planted back at home, but as per usual I dumped all of my money on 10 potato seeds. After that I made my way towards Sunberry, where I noticed a bundle to the left side of the village entrance. I needed something called Junimo gems, which at that point I had no idea where to get, so I ignored this for now. The first house that I walked into belonged to Myung and her husband Silas, who works as a blacksmith. The local clothing store is owned by Ezra, where I can buy different shirts, pants, and even hats. Of course I had to check out the cat cafe, where I met the two sisters, Daria and Diala. They have coffee for sale, which I'm definitely gonna keep in mind for later. And the last person that I met was Elias, who works at the Sunberry library. Upon checking out the room upstairs, I already got a cutscene with him, where he showed me the now empty museum section. Pretty bare is an interesting statement, considering it was completely empty up here. Yeah, I know where this is going. Of course, I agreed to help him restore the collection, and my first task was to get started on finding the minerals. That's enough socializing for today, so I headed back to Pelican Town. Did the usual Sinister foresting trip, where I found so many new items. It's crazy how much stuff the Wildflower expansion adds. I also came across a wandering raccoon who gifted me a whole cauliflower. Thanks, little guy. When I returned to the farm, I noticed just how incredibly big this map was. It took me almost an entire in-game hour just to reach my house that was on the other end. Next to the shipping bin was this glowing crystal, and it said that I can repair this, which really made me hope that these are fast travel points. Next morning I had a letter from my mom, which unlocked a new crafting machine, the produce packer. I'm far away from being able to make that, so that's something for later. Being the second in-game day meant that Willy was back in town. I rushed down to the beach, where I got the trusty bamboo rod from him. Thank you very much, good sir. And of course, fished for the entire day. I keep forgetting how difficult the minigame is when you just start out fishing. The bar is so tiny, I hate it. Luckily, you level up pretty quickly at the start, and not too long after, I reached level 2. When walking back home in the evening, I saw Sterling throwing up in a bin next to the saloon. Seems like someone had a bit too much beer. He said he was playing a drinking game with Shane and asked me if I wanted to join them sometime, but I politely declined the offer. I don't really enjoy alcohol all that much. I was delighted to see the rain on day number 3, that saves me a ton of energy. In town I saw a quest posted by Robin who wanted a herring. This was an easy request since I wanted to do more fishing anyways, and fishing I did. Midday I made enough money to afford the fiberglass rod and dumped the rest of the money on bait. I handed Robin the herring, then continued fishing by the mountain lake and reached level 3. This was the first time that I came back from the northern path to the farm, where I spotted 2 trees that I've never seen before. A cannoli almond and a coral fungus. Very funky. I'll be checking the Help Wanted board as often as I can, since the prize machine offers a lot of goodies that are especially handy early on. But today's request was from Clint, who wanted 5 iron ore. Buddy, I haven't even been to the mines yet. It was time to explore more around Sunberry Village, and today I met Ophelia, who runs the Serenity Inn, Ori, owner of Ori's Market, and he basically sells the same seeds as Pierre does, but way cheaper. Seriously, how is this guy still in business? Upon walking into the nearby inn, I immediately got a cutscene with Ophelia, who showed me an available plot of land not too far from here. It was a really cute little farm with a nearby river and its own house. My dear Ophelia, I just moved in about 4 days ago. I'm hardly in the position right now to afford a new farm. I will have to say, for a meager 150,000 gold, this is a tempting offer. But again, my own farm is so massive, I doubt I will ever need the extra space. At the northern part of the map, I came across Silas' blacksmithing shop, and Mia works here as well. I cannot upgrade my tools here, however he does sell minerals, ore and geodes, so that's good to know. Right next to the building was the local mine entrance, where I saw Ophelia again. I don't have a weapon yet, so I wasn't allowed to do anything in here. I met Jomana, who owns a flower shop, and yes, there are a lot of shops in this expansion, and I haven't even seen half of them at this point. We have Ripley, the local farmer, who just moved into her granddad's old farmhouse. That seems to be a common theme around the valley. Also, can we talk about how cute her farm is? I love how she even has her own custom buildings. And the last stop for today was the Sunberry Forest, where I came across a small mouse called Rose and a beautiful woman named Wildflower. I wanted to introduce myself, but as soon as I came close to them, the mouse quickly ran inside the building. Can't impress everyone, I suppose. Wildflower greeted me and explained that Rose isn't the best with meeting new people, which is very relatable, by the way. Jokes aside, she told me to come back again in a few days for a little treat, and then we can talk more about Rose. The following morning I had Marnie waiting for me outside, along with a cat. I do think that this farm could use a good cat. I mean, look at her, she is adorable. Everyone say hello to Mimi, our first of many animal friends. After taking care of the parsnip harvest, I had Louis show me around the old community center. And I have to address something quickly. I know that I had a poll on my channel a few weeks ago asking what game I should play next, and I know that the Georgia modded run was the winner of this. I got a little sidetracked when downloading the Georgia themed mods, and well, this is what I ended up with. So we're gonna be playing Sunberry first, where I'll be doing the normal community center route, and when I'm in the mood for another modded run, then I'm gonna do the expanded Georgia route. Okay, anyways. I inspected the weird golden plague on the floor inside the building, checked the Help Wanted board, where I had, once again, Clint asking for ore. This guy really wants me to go inside the mines. So that's what I ended up doing. As per usual, I had Marlon waiting for me at the entrance, who handed me an old rusty sword. And down I went. Unfortunately, it was a very bad luck day, so I made almost no progress. In fact, it was so bad I had to return on floor 7, as I was completely out of stamina, despite me bringing various forage for energy. Just goes to show how tiny the stamina bar is at the beginning of the game. Clint handed me a blueprint for a furnace the next day, probably so that he can ask for more ore. Made my way down to the wizard's tower, where I got acquainted with Asmodeus. I informed him about the strange scroll inside the community center. He showed me a Junimo and got salty that they refused to speak with him, drank a weird, green and very smelly potion, which allowed me to learn the language of the Junimos. With my newfound language skills, I was able to finish my first bundle. This time I have the remixed options on to make it a bit more spicy. This opened up the pantry and the fish tank. Walking down to Sunberry, I came across a tiny blue ball called Moon. I haven't figured out the lore on her yet, but I'm pretty sure she is, well, a Junimo, and no one else can see her aside from myself, so that's interesting. I visited Gunther at the museum for the first time, where I got some free cauliflower seeds, thanks to my donations, and then fished by the mountain lake until my inventory was full. On Sunday I finally had luck on my side, the perfect opportunity for a mine trip. Before that I harvested my taters, tulips, and carrots. Some of the crops I directly sold to peers, which allowed me to buy the first bag upgrade, which I desperately needed at that point. This trip was so much more successful than the previous one. I was zooming through the levels. Not only that, but on floor 9 I had a special slime that dropped a small glow ring. You'll love to see it. Finishing off on floor 18 with lots of ore and new museum donations. I received a very interesting letter from Wildflower the next day, informing me about the so-called Junimo gems. I don't know what I was doing here, but clearly I wasn't paying attention because she literally wrote that these gems can be obtained from artisan machines. Don't worry, I will figure it out very soon. As well as a welcome letter from Mia attached with some very delicious looking beer pancakes. So Mia is part of the Always Raining in the Valley mini expansion, along with Sterling and his cousin Henry. I already played with this mod years ago when it was exclusive to Eastscarp and I loved it, so of course I had to download it again. Unfortunately, out of these 3 people, only Sterling is befriendable, but trust me, this one character is so worth having. I bought a couple of kale seeds from Ari's since I needed those for the Spring Crops bundle, and while there I met a new face, Ren the Plumber. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce her name, but I'm gonna say it like that one sound that Hornet does in Silksong. Right on the Ari's market lives John Yuk, who has a very impressive house. And once again, I'm very sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of the names. I just don't know, I'm just an idiot. The flower shop was open today, where I bought one of each of the new seeds. Then I remembered that Wildflower asked me to visit her again. She told me that Rose and her brother came to Pelican Town a while ago to start her baking business. But instead of getting a warm welcome, they were chased away by Morris, who called them dirty rodents. Yikes. To be completely honest, if I were to see a meter-tall mouse, I think I would freak a little as well. But still, that's an overreaction to say the very least. Wildflower ran into them shortly after, and ever since, they've been living here inside her house within the forest. Obviously, Rose is very uncomfortable when facing other humans, but if I harass her long enough with love gifts, surely she can't hate me forever, right? Around the house I noticed a bunch of fruit trees down by the pond. I really hope Wildflower doesn't mind because I really need that extra cash at the moment. I caught my first 2 Sunberry exclusive fish, being a barkfish and a bubbly beta, which triggered Elias to send me a letter on Tuesday. He's working on his very own fish compendium and asked me to show him every new species that I catch. Luckily for him, I wanted to do more fishing anyways. I had my first strawberry harvest, bumping me up to level 2 in farming, commissioned a copper pick upgrade, and then made my way towards beautiful Sunberry. This time I was fishing up by the mountain where I caught an Azurian carp, Nagel fish, however you may say that, and a bonbon fish. I ran all the way to the museum and showed my haul from today to Elias. All I have to do is hand him the fish, same as you would when gifting an item, and then he will update the compendium overnight. I need you to understand how much I love this mechanic. I really wish this would exist in the base game as well. The fish compendium is basically an in-game wiki that tells you the exact location, season, weather conditions, and even the difficulty of each fish you've caught. Huge props to the mod creator, this is without a doubt my favorite part of this mod so far. When cleaning up the farm later, I saw that there was a hidden entrance behind the waterfall, as it should be in every video game. In this cozy overgrown cave, I found a lone bundle that read, "Is it time?" This is not gonna happen anytime soon, I'll tell you that much, since I need mahogany seeds and I'm currently far away from obtaining these. Since I had a newfound obsession now, I was back with more fishing that day, and I also got to check out Rose's bakery shop, as well as Wildflower's alchemy supplies. And surprise, it's more flowers. Most of these require Junimo gems as currency, so I'll have to come back later to that. The pickaxe upgrade was done the next day. I wanted to do the same with the axe, but I was missing copper ore for that. So it was time to go back into the mines. Not much to say about this trip, though I did get more than enough copper, which allowed me to commission that upgrade. It was another good luck day, so you know how it is, more spelunking. This time I made it down to floor 30, but more importantly, I got an ancient seed. I didn't even realize it at first. It is day 12 of spring, so this might just be the earliest ancient seed I've ever gotten. Needless to say, I was very happy with this new find, though the museum trip will have to wait since it was the Egg Festival on Saturday. I bought 10 strawberry seeds from the store and then chatted with everyone for the free friendship boost. I love that the Sunberry villagers also have their own area to the left side. I wasn't sure if they were actually gonna attend the vanilla festivals, but they do. And here is where I met the very last villager, Lani. She's part of an own mod for Sunberry that I downloaded a few days after I started recording, so I haven't had the chance to talk with her yet. But with that, I finally met all of the 47 townies. I managed to find 10 eggs this time, which is definitely not my best performance, but I still won the straw hat. I'm having a high ponytail this time around, so no hats for me, but Mimi can wear it instead. I harvested my kale the next day, picked up the shiny new eggs, and of course got the ancient seed from Gunther. I ran all the way down to Ezra's shop to hand her a birthday gift, Haley got one as well, and then fished for the rest of the day by the town river in hopes of finding a few catfish. During that I reached level 5 in fishing, and even with a higher level in fishing, these guys are still so tricky to catch. I took the fisher profession for that extra cash boost and sold almost every fish that I had except for a few for the community center. It is officially salmon berry season, so naturally I spent a good portion of my day looking for those berries. In the process of doing that, I made sure to grab Robin's lost axe, and upon returning it to her, I saw that Ren was visiting as well. They've actually known each other for a while now. I don't know what their relationship used to be, but Robin was happy to see her again. Since Ren is a plumber, she won't have to rely on anyone from Suzu City anymore. Demetrius posted a quest for 2 largemount bath, which I attended to right away, though this took a bit longer than usual since I was completely out of bait at this point, but eventually I got both of them. I had another request where I had to slay 6 green slimes, and since I was up at the mountain anyways, I might as well get that done. I didn't realize before that I had to talk with Lewis to finish the bounty, so I quickly rushed down to the mayor's house where I just made it inside on time. Thanks to all of those help wanted requests, I earned my first prize ticket, which got traded in for 12 carrot seeds. The cauliflowers were ready that day, and with that I had all of the crops to finish the spring bundle. This opened up the boiler room, and I was very sad to see the engineer bundle that needed 1 iridium ore. Now that's just mean. Today was another spelunking trip. I barely made any progress in the mines so far, and I really wanted to try and push for quality sprinklers this time, since I'm usually a little lazy when it comes to that. And I know that I'm gonna be planting a bunch of new seeds in summer, and having quality sprinklers once the new season starts would be a tremendous help. I was blessed with a second glow ring, and I made it to floor 50. Speaking about free goodies, I had a mushroom log in my mailbox on Wednesday. Not really sure how that fits in there, and I'm also not gonna question that any further. The magazine wrote about how the mushroom log functions, and apparently it even works with the new pistachio, almond, anise, cocoa or walnut trees. Now I do have an almond tree on my farm, so that's where I placed it down. Also, there's a mahogany tree, right in front of my nose. Has this always been here, and I'm just blind? Chopping down this tree gave me exactly 2 mahogany seeds, which I donated towards the bundle inside the waterfall cave, along with 5 maple seeds. This prompted a Junimo to appear, and he told me to come back tomorrow, there's more to do. By now I had enough wood accumulated to commission my first animal building, a coop. I picked up the hidden prize ticket located behind Marcella's stall, which I always forget exists, not this time thankfully, which earned me a peach sapling. I ran down to Ripley's place where I handed her a birthday present, and other than me hanging around the farm, I didn't really do anything else. Thursday to Saturday were spent in the mines, the highlights being 2 diamonds, level 5 in mining, a very funky crab dance, and I left after reaching floor 85 because I really needed another pick upgrade before going any further. Today's edition of the Shrooms and Blooms magazine contained a free kitchen mortar. I popped in 1 cannoli almond that I had, and this created 1 almond milk, almond flour, and my first Junimo gem. Also, this is where I took a peek at the shipping collection for the first time, and I almost had a heart attack. Yeah, this is gonna take a while, but that's a problem for future me. I had all the materials now to finish the geologist and blacksmith bundle, which opened up the remaining 2 rooms. The vault remained unchanged as per usual, but the bulletin board was completely different. Most of these bundles were pretty simple, so I was feeling confident with the idea of completing the community center this year. So that's another goal added to the to-do list. No red cabbage hunt for me this time, thank you very much. I had Demetrius at my door on Monday, asking if he can set up the farm cave and turn it into something more useful. This time I went with the mushroom cave since it comes with a free dehydrator, and I already had 3 fruit trees on my farm. Speaking about mushrooms, the mushroom log does indeed work with the modded trees, and from this I got a honey fungus mushroom. I was delighted to see that this was usable in the kitchen mortar as well, making 1 honey out of it. I had 7 Junimo gems by now, so I went down to Sunberry and donated 5 of them to this bundle on the floor. A Junimo voice appeared and told me to come back tomorrow again. While I was in the area, I dropped off a gift for Ripley, since she's currently the one I have the most amount of hearts with, and I was hoping that I can dance with her at the upcoming event. Summer was slowly but surely approaching, and there were still a few fish that I was missing for the community center, so that was the task for today. I fished up a sardine, sunfish, and bullhead. Later in the evening, I came across Sterling, who was playing around on the train tracks. As you do, I guess. He was noticeably drunk, and we could hear a train approaching from the distance. I offered to take him back home when suddenly it began pouring down. I guess you can see why it's called It's Always Raining in the Valley. When I came back to my farm later, I went inside the waterfall cave again, where I had tons of new bundles waiting for me. Completing any of these unlocks 1 warp crystal on my farm, so you know how it is, that's another goal for the to-do list. I reached level 5 in foraging that day and took the gatherer profession. I might switch that out for the forester one later, but right now I really want to focus on collecting tons of forage. The steel pick was ready today, upgraded the axe right after that, then ventured yet again to the Sunberry entrance, where instead of the bundle I found a warp gate, which brought me to a magical new place with, surprise, more bundles waiting for me. I was getting a bit overwhelmed at this point, so I left and decided to tackle this a bit later. I wanted to do more fishing that day since I could really use the money, but I got distracted by the mine entrance close by. Upon venturing down the first level, I was immediately surrounded by a bunch of enemies. The Grim Reaper herself made an appearance and with 1 scythe swing eliminated all of the rogue mobs. No, but seriously, why does she look like that? I was so severely injured that I couldn't even talk, and Ripley had to help me get out of the cave. Safe to say, this was a terrible idea. Once again, I'll come back later once I'm better prepared. I had another copy of Shrooms and Blooms in my mailbox the next day with a freaking seed maker. That's not unlocked until I reach level 9 in farming, which I'm far away from. The magazine wrote about how I can now even create my own fruit saplings, which had me intrigued. I did have a few petite lemons saved up, and sure enough, I made my very own lemon sapling. Have I ever mentioned how much I love playing modded? It was time for everyone's favorite festival, the flower dance. I nervously approached Ripley, who even had an own festival costume. To my absolute shock, she did actually accept my invitation. I did not expect that. And together with the tallest woman I've ever seen, we shared a beautiful and slightly silly dance. The next strawberry harvest pushed me to level 5 in farming, and as I was collecting them, it felt a bit empty on this massive farm. It was time to start my ranching career. At Marnie's shop, I bought 2 chickens and 2 dodos. Indeed, I have a dodo mod installed. Everyone say hello to Baggy and Jaggy, and Jan Kutko and Garuga. Yep, we're doing Monster Hunter names this time, sue me. The following 3 days were spent almost entirely in the mines. I found my first book, the Monster Compendium, had enough materials by now to craft a glow ring, which was a very nice upgrade, and at last made it to floor 100, getting my hands on that sweet star drop. Despite all of my efforts, it was not enough to reach level 6 in farming, which is a bit unfortunate, but oh well. At least the chickens and dodos were grown up by now. The dodos produce daily eggs, just like the chickens do, and these also contribute to my farming skill, which is gonna help out a bit. I commissioned a silo from Robin, bought a few path recipes while there, and then spent the entire day remodeling the field. Because I don't have access to quality sprinklers yet, I had to settle with the regular ones, which I really don't like. I almost never bother making these, they're not worth the materials in my opinion. Still, I know there's gonna be tons of new flowers, and maybe even crops that I can plant next season, so this is gonna help out a bit. Gotta say I was pretty happy with the layout. I tried my best to make it look cute, but also functional. I was ready for summer now. First up, I tilled the fields with already quality sprinkler spots in mind, and once I was done with that, I ran all the way over to Ari's shop. And I was really glad that I came here, as he had indeed new seeds in stock, sunberries. I purchased 12 of those, all of the other summer crops, and a few variety seeds at Wildflower's place. In the late evening, I was done with planting and watering everything, and it's not exactly the prettiest field, but it will improve over time. The next morning I had a free bowl of tropical curry in my mailbox, which I put to good use as I spent the whole day foraging. While doing that, I stopped by Hat Mouse, where I treated myself with a daisy, as this is one of the few hats that doesn't mess up my ponytail. Later I visited the community center, where I completed the summer forage bundle and dropped off a few other items to free up some chest space. On Wednesday and Thursday I was busy with fishing. I found a second ancient seed in a treasure chest, somehow managed to catch a pufferfish and even a super cucumber, which was a lot harder to catch than I had in memory. As I was running around the Sunberry forest, I noticed a tree stump right next to the pond, which revealed a hidden area to me. Aside from some regular forage, there wasn't anything else here though. I didn't find any new fish that day, but I did level up my fishing skill. I handed Myung a birthday present and then had a peek inside the Sunberry mine system again. I wanted to start on collecting the minerals for the museum, which I assumed would be available down here. I really enjoy how these floors have different color palettes and even new enemies, like this silly purple mushroom that I ran away from. I was definitely not prepared for this yet. I actually almost passed out while down there, so I left shortly after. On this beautiful summer morning, I received a letter from John Yuk, who invited me to a little get-together. Every Saturday there's a hangout event southeast of Sunberry, and conveniently it was a Saturday. Down at the beach I came across the raccoon again, who was now wearing a pink bow. Loved the glow up. I purchased myself an iridium rod, which is what I would have said if Willy was actually attending to his shop, so never mind that. But Chumana was open for today, where I got a variety of different flower seeds. I stopped by the park later, where everyone was waiting for John Yuk to start grilling. He asked if I could bring the dishes to the different people while he's busy with cooking, and this gave me an option between easy and challenge mode. Yeah, this turned out to be a little mini-game. I didn't know that I had to pay attention to the speech bubbles that everyone was shouting at me momentarily, so I did mess up a few orders, but I still got a free portion of stir-fry in the end. On day 35, I visited the carpenter, where I dumped half of my money on the big chest recipe. It's an expensive purchase, but I really needed the extra space with all of the new items that I have. I also grabbed the paint bucket so that I can start modifying the tappers on my farm. Just look how adorable these birds are, I love this mod so much. After going to bed, I saw Mr. Chi flying around the valley with his fancy plane, which means that I can collect mystery boxes now. I spent my Monday morning setting up a smaller tree farm under the crop area, and then went down to the beach to fish. I caught a tilapia, red snapper and tuna, made just enough money to afford the iridium rod, and donated the rest of today's catch towards the fish tank. On the 37, I decided to have the tree farm on this beautiful heart-shaped plot instead. This might be more suitable for crops later, but right now I really needed to set up a tree farm so that I can start a proper resin production. I reached level 6 in farming upon picking up my hot peppers, and after I was done with planting the saplings, I spent the remainder of the day in the mines, resetting floor 60 over and over to gather iron ore. Because on day 38, I was finally able to make quality sprinklers. With the limited amount of iron and copper ore that I had, I swapped out almost the entire field with improved sprinklers. I upgraded my watering can, which was a mistake because I forgot I still had a few crops that weren't covered by sprinklers, but oh well. Donated a few items to the museum where I got the Treasure Trove achievement and my first rare crow as a donation reward. As I was admiring Ripley's giant melon, I noticed that I found another book, Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Thick, which gives me a permanent +1 defense buff. Thursday was the annual Luau festival, and this time I did not have any gold quality cauliflowers like I usually do, so for the first time in forever I actually had to think about what to bring for the potluck soup. I could have bought the starfruit from the festival stall, but not for 3,000 gold. Seriously, what is wrong with you, Pierre? In the end, I decided to go with the super cucumber that I had. As always, I made sure to chat with everyone, and by the way, Rose is also here. She's been attending every event so far because Wildflower keeps making up excuses or is just straight up lying to her. Like at the flower dance, she told Rose that this would be a baking festival just because she wanted her to see the flower arrangements. And I don't really know how to feel about that because she clearly doesn't want to be here. But anyways. After adding the super cucumber, I told Lewis that we're good to go, and as expected, I only got the neutral response from the governor. But hey, that's still 60 friendship points with everyone, so I can't really complain about that. The following morning I harvested my first sunberries, and I noticed that they sell for an absurd amount of money. One regular quality sunberry is worth over 120 gold. That's a little ridiculous. The logical next step was to go out and buy more sunberry seeds. As I made my way over to Ari's shop, I came across Wildflower, who was foraging outside the forest. She found an unknown flower that she's never seen before and asked if I had any knowledge about this, but I was just as clueless as she was. She tasked me to hand over any exotic forage that I find in hopes of learning more about these. The cool thing about Ari's shop is that he has a daily special sale for various items, and today he had a 12-pack of Joja Cola for only 25 gold. Yes please, that's a 30-second speed boost, I will gladly take that. While I was at his shop, I noticed that I now also had a new journal entry which was specifically for Wildflower's request. I'm not entirely sure what counts as magical forest, so that's another problem for future me. As stated earlier, I bought more sunberry seeds as well as a few random flower seeds from Jomana. Then I was busy with laying out a new field. By now I had enough berry jelly to finish my first bundle on the farm. This rewarded me with 2 preserve jars and opened up a new warp point, which is right next to the Sinister Forest. 41 was mostly spent in the local mines. On floor 110, I acquired the space boots, which are so incredibly ugly, they don't match my outfit whatsoever, but the defense boost is worth the look. Thanks to the Joja Cola that I bought yesterday, I made it all the way down to the bottom, where I obtained the Skull Key. Not that I have any intentions of going to the desert anytime soon, but it's always nice to have every floor unlocked. The halfway point of summer meant that my blueberries were ready for harvest, and with those, completed the summer crops and also the crabpot bundle. I spent a meager 10,000 gold on the 3rd bag upgrade, and I do also have a mod installed that gives me 4 inventory slots, but I won't bother with this until I go to the desert. While chopping trees in the Sinister Forest, I came across Rose, who seemed to be foraging out here, as well as Linus. They were both standing relatively close to each other, but somehow didn't see nor hear the other person. Eventually, they ran into one another, and Linus immediately apologized to her. Rose responded and said that she was sorry as well. Honestly, both of you should check your hearing and eyesight. Linus was so incredibly nice to her, as you'd expect from him, and it seems like this is the beginning of a beautiful new friendship. I don't know where I'm at, by the way. I guess I'm somewhere behind one of those trees, observing these two like a creep. Once I was done with spying on other people, I obtained Woody's secret, and this was the first time where Rose said hi to me and didn't immediately run away. I told you, you just have to shower people with gifts, and eventually they will like you. I spent the evening running around Sunberry, looking for any forage and chatting with people. When I wanted to return to my own place, I saw Diala and her sister working on a plant growth spell in the middle of town. Just as they were about to be done with the spell, the air suddenly became dark and gloomy. Out of thin air, a figure appeared and announced her presence, which turned out to be a demon. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Demons and magic are canon in this universe, and it's just casually brought up here as if it was the most normal thing. The first demon that appeared was Rihanna, and her little sister followed shortly after, named Aicha. Everyone around was scared and asked them to leave again, but Rihanna just said that we can't expect to summon a demon and then have them poof away whenever we want to. I mean, fair, I guess, but what? She literally said 5 seconds ago that this is the most boring place on the planet, but now you want to stay? Make up your mind, lady. Now, if this was a Conjuring movie, we could simply dispose of the demons by speaking out their names, but I'm not a certified demonologist, so what do I know really? And just like that, we have 2 demons living in Sunberry Village. I'm sure nothing bad is gonna happen. Anyways, on Monday I harvested my first ancient fruit and 1 star fruit, finished a garden bundle which rewarded me with a free quality sprinkler, and relaxed at the cat cafe where Diala made a caramel vanilla coffee for me. I'm not a coffee enjoyer, but I will have to say that sounds absolutely delicious. I definitely tried it. I awoke to a very gloomy looking rain on 44, which I am always looking forward to. Not only does a tiny snail graze my mailbox, but this also gives an instant growth boost to all of the trees on my farm. I crafted a few tappers for the ones that were fully grown, and then made my way towards the forest. During the green rain, there's unique fiber clusters that spawn all over the map, even in Pelican Town. The fiddlehead trees are also a great addition, since I actually need those for the wild medicine bundle. Before going back home, I remembered that I can now obtain the alleyway buffet, which I picked up from this shiny golden trash can next to the Joja Mart. More free loot for me, please. The following day I crafted a bee house, just one, because I was almost out of coal at this point. I do have 2 bee house related mods installed, one that adds a bunch of new items and the other that makes them a bit more profitable. I usually tend to ignore bee houses and never really utilize them, so I'm hoping that this will motivate me to start a proper apiary. I commissioned a barn from Robin and then fished by the ocean for a tuna. With this, I finished the ocean bundle and I wanted to catch a sturgeon for the lakefish bundle, but I had no luck with that today. I unlocked the second warp crystal on my farm by offering a few orange jellies and dried fruit, handed over my axe for an upgrade, and while at the blacksmith, opened the first batch of mystery boxes. From those I got some quality fertilizer and even deluxe speed grow, which I'm gonna save for the greenhouse. When I made my way over to Wildflower's place, I stumbled upon an amber moondrop, and the description said that this is a magical fruit, so I wanted to see if this counts as one of the forage items that Moonflower requested from me, and sure enough, it did indeed count. At the shop I purchased more variety seeds, as well as a Grampleton walnut sapling. I've been checking the beach for forage almost every single day for the past in-game week, and today I finally found the sea urchin that I was looking for. I only needed that one for a bait maker. As the name implies, this machine allows me to get bait from specific fish. It's not very useful for daily tasks, but it is incredibly handy for 2 specific mini events. The annual Trout Derby offers a ton of goodies, and all I have to do is to fish up golden tags, which can only be obtained from rainbow trouts. I reached level 8 in fishing during the day, and also level 8 in farming, which is a huge milestone as this unlocks the keg crafting recipe. On Sunday I did the exact same thing, just fishing at the derby, but before that I bought 4 cows from Marnie. Please welcome Bambaro, Barov, Beriov, and Behemoth. Once I collected all of the rewards from the festival stall, I crafted myself a fragrance extractor. Same as the kitchen mortar, this is part of the artisan expansion, and this allows me to make perfume out of various flowers and collect more Junimo gems. Since I have kegs unlocked now, I really wanted to get my hands on more ore, so I spent both Monday and Tuesday down in the mines. And speaking about kegs, as I finished the winery bundle, I got a garden pot and 5 kegs as a reward from that. Pretty crazy. I picked up my shiny new gold axe from Clint, and with that chopped down the few mahogany trees that I had on my farm, which gave me just enough hardwood to commission a stable from Robin. On day 53, I received a letter from Sebastian with a coffee brewer recipe attached with it. Now this sounds right up my alley. It says it needs cream as fuel, which I haven't figured out how to make yet, so I'll have to wait with that. With all of the ores that I gathered over the past few days, I crafted more quality sprinklers and started to beautify the second crop field. I reached level 9 in farming while picking up today's harvest, which unlocks the best sprinklers in the game, Iridium ones. Friday was a beautiful day, not because of the rain, but because Robin was done with the stable construction. How I have missed you, my old friend. I wanted to name him Roach, as I always do, but then I remembered the name theme that I have, and I'd like to stick with this, so Kelby it is. Now that I think about it again, Sacred would have been a better name, but whatever. And man, it feels so incredibly nice to have a horse this early on in the game. I am zooming through the valley. I put Robin right back to work and commissioned a coop upgrade, and as I was doing some random errands around town, I bumped into Lani at Pia's shop. She told me that she wasn't actually here to buy anything, but just to talk with Pierre as she's really into him. That's like the wildest thing I've ever heard anyone say to me. Ever. Look, I'm not gonna judge you or anything, but this is information that I really didn't need to know about. Some things are better kept to yourself. Anyways, in the late afternoon I saw Ren stopping by Rihanna's place, and she asked if they had any issues with the water, since the house they chose to live in is rather old. She did end up fixing the shower for them, and it seems like Aicha is a lot friendlier than her older sister. I'm not really sure why Rihanna is so hostile to like every single person she speaks with, so if I have any demons watching, then please share some insight down below. On 55, I didn't really know what to do, so I decided to spend my day in the Sunberry mine system. As far as I'm concerned, the mine levels are always the same, so they're not randomly generated, and there's also no elevator nor any checkpoints. On floor 5, I found a little note tucked away in the corner that read, "It should be safe if I needed to rest," from Maya. And right next to it was indeed a room with no hostile creatures and even a tent to sleep in. I found a decent amount of geodes and ore while down there, and before going back home, I stopped by Wildflower's shop to drop off some random forage that I had on me. And this was enough to finish the request for her. Diala sent me a recipe for an alchemy table the next day, though I'm not gonna bother making this yet, since the last time she used it, she quite literally summoned 2 demons, and that's 2 more than I'd like to have. The final day of summer was mostly spent on the farm, harvesting any remaining crops, making more quality sprinklers, and planted some leftover summer seeds, so that I have less work tomorrow morning. I did make a pit stop at Clint's to open the geodes that I found yesterday, but this only gave me 1 new mineral to donate. I finished the vast field bundle on my farm, which unlocked yet another warp crystal, and from this I got 1 heavy tapper and 2 lightning rods. Don't mind if I do. After 10 PM it was time for the last event of the season, the Dance of the Moonlight Jellies. Mayor Lewis launched a candle boat into the wide ocean, and just on cue, the jellies arrived. I'll never get bored of watching this. Fall has officially arrived on Moonlight Farm, along with a note from Wildflower. She thanked me for gathering the forage and said that I can now add familiars to my farm, which sounds interesting, but I had other things on my mind right now. I went over to Ari's shop, where I basically bought every single crop that was available to me. He also had a carob sapling on sale, which I was not familiar with. It only bears fruit during fall, so I won't get any use out of it this season, but I still wanted to have it for next year. And just like that, 30,000 gold were gone already. I really wish that I had upgraded my hoe by now, that would have saved me a little bit of time, but despite that I somehow still managed to plant, water and fertilize everything before it was too late. I even had time to plant the new fruit sapling. On Tuesday morning I had yet again more goodies in the mailbox. Flower seeds from Jomana and an autumn sponty from the Shrooms and Blooms magazine. They really spoil you with this mod, and I'm not gonna complain about it. In town I saw Robin and Lewis mounting the special order board. I mean, Lewis was just standing there, Robin was doing all of the work. But before checking that out, I had to stop and talk with Ripley. Her fall outfit is so adorable, I love the braids, it fits her so well. I decided to accept Robin's project, since I wasn't really in the mood for any skeleton hunting right now. And at the mountain lake I came across our raccoon friend and he gifted me a freaking wine bottle. Where does he even get this stuff from? I hope it's from Pierre, because Gus doesn't deserve to be robbed. I finished the river fish bundle, and thanks to the raccoon, I was also able to complete the brewer's bundle. Upon walking out of the community center, I saw Sterling with his motorcycle, who was very obviously waiting for me. I hopped onto the bike, and together we rode across the Ferngill coastline. Usually there's own music playing in the background, which was made by the mod creator, and I really hope that I can find it somewhere and put it in the video, because this is like one of the best soundtracks I have ever heard. Eventually we stopped next to a smaller beach area where we just hung around for a bit. He said that he values our friendship, since I'm kinda like the only person he has fun with without drinking anything, and I appreciate it. I do want to mention that I haven't decided on who to romance yet, and there will probably be a poll on my channel right after this video goes live, so feel free to check that out if you want. Now that I had a deluxe coop, I was allowed to purchase ducks from Marnie. Say hello to Pookie, Kulu, Titi, and Puerlumo. Walking into Sunberry, I saw that they now also had their own special order board. The first two quests were from Blake and the other from Aisha. I don't have access to a kitchen yet, so I accepted the one for the monster parts. The bug meat was very easy to get, I was already done with that the following day, but the slime is gonna take a little while. But never mind that, I awoke to my first giant crop on day 61. It was a beautiful sight. The forest lavender has been in the same place for several weeks, and I was really happy this actually worked out. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep this here forever, but right now I have no intentions of getting rid of it. It's too pretty. I harvested the bok choy and collected the first batch of hot pepper and sunberry wine. At the traveling cart I purchased one stuffing since I need that for the bulletin board, and then did the exact same thing as yesterday, collecting hardwood and slime. And on Saturday I repeated that. Luckily, there's always a few slimes hanging around the secret woods, so today I completed Blake's request. I stopped by Robin's place to commission a barn upgrade and dropped off all of the monster parts next to Ari's shop. I was so happy that I was finally done with this. I don't want to farm for monster drops anytime soon again. As I was gathering wood yesterday, I reached level 9 in foraging, and this unlocked a brand new machinery, a wood collector. As the name implies, this machine automatically collects wood, but I'm gonna wait with crafting this. First of all, it needs a buttload of materials, and I don't really have a shortage of trees right now anyways, but it might come in handy a bit later. Today I collected the last pieces of hardwood for Robin's request, and after I dropped those off, made my way over to Sunberry to see what Blake made out of the monster parts. As I was chatting with Ari, I noticed that Blake and his friend Lyanne were standing above us with a very suspicious looking barrel. They couldn't keep it in place any longer, and the slime bomb landed right on top of Ari, which I believe was actually meant for me. I spent several in-game days gathering all of this stuff for a dumb prank. Really? This was not worth the effort whatsoever. I didn't even get any money from that, but okay. While collecting the amaranth and cranberry harvest, I maxed out my farming skill. It was officially blackberry season, which was very important since I needed quite a few of those for the community center, as well as wild plums. I rode across the entire Cinnasep forest, collecting every single berry bush in my way. New requests were posted on a special order board, and both of these were monster part related. Why? I ended up accepting the one for Willy, but no promises on that. I completed the fall foraging set and dropped off 50 blackberries for the foragers bundle. The Sunberry special order board was not any better, as there was, again, more bug-related quests posted. After this outrage, I went to bed and of course took the artisan profession for that sweet 40% sell price increase. On Tuesday I wanted to focus on crafting more of the new artisan machines, and while doing that, got the artisan achievement. Very fitting. Since these machines look a little out of place compared to everything else that I have on the farm, I decided to move them to a new and bigger spot. I'll put them into a shed once I have the materials for one. I bought 2 goats from Marnie, only 2 for now since they're quite expensive, and after that started on Willie's request. I was really happy that I decided to pursue this quest after all, as on day 67 I found a star helmet while in the mines. I didn't even know that enemies can drop rare hats like this as well. And I kid you not, 2 minutes later I got a prismatic shard from a grub. Well, I guess it's finally time to save up for that vault bundle. A bit later I finished Willie's request, dumped 100 pieces of bug meat into the bin, and fished for a few eels down by the beach. On this beautiful Friday morning I harvested the yams, opened a few geodes and mystery boxes at Clint's, where I was very lucky and got one single iridium ore from that one omni geode I found yesterday. Just what I needed. This allowed me to finish the boiler room, and with that I had the minecart system unlocked. Saturday was not very eventful. I commissioned a deluxe barn upgrade and completed the first bundle over at the forest market, which is exciting, but I can't do anything here yet. I'll have to come back tomorrow again. I had Marnie outside my door the next morning, asking for a cave carrot. Now Marnie is pretty important this time, as she has a very special book tied to her friendship level, and I need that ASAP. I took care of today's pumpkin harvest and then immediately rushed down to her ranch to deliver the carrot as well as a diamond. The pumpkin was the final crop missing for the fall bundle, and I was also able to complete the quality crops one, finishing the second room inside the community center. And you know what that means, I can now use the greenhouse on my farm. Well, not right now, but tomorrow. But the excitement doesn't stop there, as I had a new vendor waiting for me. This little blue mouse is also part of the Wildflour Artisan expansion, and here I can buy a variety of new products and even a produce packer, which I still haven't made yet. But I needed the Junimo gems for something else first, the Wisteria shop bundle. Upon completing this, I was rewarded with a Junimo catalog, which might even be better than the greenhouse, not gonna lie. I was so incredibly happy about this, I went straight back home and remodeled everything inside my tiny house. I cannot change the bed that I currently have, but I still think it looks a lot cuter now. Same as last time, I have Kisaa's Rustic greenhouse mod because I absolutely love this design and how customizable the building is. I was able to make 5 quality sprinklers with the remaining ingots that I had and started to plant a few ancient seeds as well as coffee beans. In town I accepted Louise's crop order, upgraded my hoe at Clint's, and also opened more mystery boxes while there. From this I got a second glow ring and the Book of Mysteries. The rest of the day was spent fishing by the river in hopes of finding a few walleyes, but despite being here for several in-game hours, I only ended up catching 1. The 16th of fall is always an exciting day, as it is the annual Stardew Valley fair. I didn't have a lot of iridium quality items at the moment, but I did have 1 bottle of ancient fruit wine and even a prismatic shard. This time I made sure to bring the correct amount of items for the Grange display, and I ended up winning with a rating of 106 points. Not too bad. Participated in some healthy gambling at the spinning wheel until I had enough tokens to afford all of the relevant items at the festival booth, like the prize ticket, the rare crow, and of course, the star drop. The prize ticket got traded in for a fancy new bed. Down at the beach I saw Willie, who was enjoying all of the bug meat I brought to him the other day, and he taught me a new crafting recipe, the quality bobber. At the market stall I met our newest vendor, and this purple mouse sells a variety of furniture catalogs. Not too interesting to me right now, as I still haven't even upgraded my house yet. I handed Marnie a birthday gift the next day, which pumped me up to 6 hearts with her. Finished the Florian's shop bundle by donating 11 Junimo gems, and then spotted a new fish at the Sunberry pond. Unfortunately, it disappeared before I could catch it, but at least I leveled up my fishing skill again. Friday morning I had Evelyn outside, who handed me a free garden pot and the recipe to craft more of them. I had a good chunk of money saved up by now and dumped most of it on the vault bundle, finishing the entire room. I also completed the foragers bundle from the bulletin board, and then I was hanging around the farm and started to lay down more paths. Now that I have the bus unlocked, it was finally time to go to the desert. It was a good luck day as well, so the perfect opportunity for a skull cavern trip. I introduced myself to Sandy and bought a few beet seeds from her shop, and I was very delighted to see that even in the desert there was a new forage waiting for me, like a calico pistachio and a wild cocoa pod. Of course I brought the prismatic shard with me, which I traded in for the beautiful galaxy sword. Despite it being a very good luck day, I only made it to floor 16, and even worse, I only found 2 iridium ore while down there. Not exactly the most successful first trip. I opened the geodes that I acquired yesterday, and I haven't talked about this at all, but I made almost no progress when it comes to the museum collection, both in Pelican Town and Sunberry. The minerals are fine, I think this is pretty normal compared to my other runs as well, but the artifacts on the other hand are non-existent at this point. I've gotten so unlucky with the dig spots so far, and I mostly either get stone or clay, almost never any artifacts. So I hope this will improve later on, or at least once I can trade my Omni Geodes for artifact throws. This was a pretty uneventful day. I had a nice chat with Jomana where we talked about her flower business, and I commissioned the first house upgrade. Other than that, I didn't do much else. But Monday was a lot more exciting. The sweet gemberry was done growing, and with that I acquired yet another star drop, increasing my max stamina even further. I accepted Demetrius' biome balance request and then rode all the way down to the Sunberry forest to hand Wildflower a birthday present. From her shop I purchased a star anise sapling as well as some cream from Rose, since I still haven't figured out how to make this myself. The new vendor at the forest market sells a ton of flower related items, and this was actually very useful at the moment since I still had 2 warp crystals on my farm that I hadn't finished yet, and for that I needed tulips or jazz. The late evening was spent at the mountain lake to get started on the biome balance quest. On Tuesday I finished Lewis's crop order by shipping 100 cranberries, got 4 quality sprinklers from the ticket machine and upgraded my hoe to steel quality. Today was mostly spent in the Sunberry mine system. I felt confident enough to venture deeper now that I had the trusty galaxy sword, but even with that, the enemies here are so incredibly tanky and they also deal a ton of damage. Thankfully you can sprint past most of the monsters if you know the layout and where the ladders are located, so it wasn't too bad. I was very surprised to see iridium ore nodes on floor 13, and the first one that I mined dropped a prismatic shard. I would have come here a lot sooner had I known there was iridium ore just laying around on the lower areas. That's a little crazy. The house upgrade was done by Wednesday morning, and with that I now have access to the kitchen. I waited patiently for Robin to open, where once inside, commissioned a pawn from her. Purchased 2 sheeps from Marnie's, since I need their wool for different artisan machines, 2 heaters and also 1 auto grabber for the barn. I continued fishing by the lake and a little while later finished a biome balance request. On 81 I remembered that I can now purchase familiars from Wildflower, so I went down to her shop to check that out. Right now I only have access to crows, and weirdly enough they want a barn to live in, which doesn't really seem very crow-like to me, but okay. I ended up just buying 1 for now, since I want to have an own building dedicated for the familiars. When I walked back home to the farm, I saw Pam, who was just coming back from Suzu City. Now there's an expansion that I haven't played yet, and one of the passengers came out of the bus and ran straight into me, knocking both of us on our feet. The blue-haired kid apologized and immediately ran off towards town. Well, that was a little weird. What's even weirder is that my pockets felt a lot lighter all of a sudden, and indeed, when I checked my wallet, I had lost 10,000 gold. Oh boy. It said on the screen that he might be somewhere around town, and I did look in Pelican Town, but I had no luck with finding him. No idea where he went. The search continued the next day. I even checked in Sunberry Village, but still no sight of him. I upgraded my coop building so that I don't have to manually put in hay every single day during winter, and remembered the beeswax for Robin, which she requested a few weeks ago. After 4 PM I made my way towards Sunberry again, because today was the Twilight event. Everyone who owns a shop now has a little stall set up in the middle of town, and same as the Desert Festival, you can only trade items with 1 currency, and in that case, that's the Twilight Feathers. These feathers can be foraged around the valley all year around, but sadly I only had 39 in total because I didn't know about this event beforehand. I had such a hard time deciding on what I should spend my feathers on, as all of these shops were really good. Silas had a ton of different rings and ores for sale, Elias had artifacts and even prismatic shards, Raya had food-related items that I needed for the community center, but I think Wildflower had the most interesting shop as she had fruit and flower saplings that I haven't seen anywhere else, but they were also very expensive. I ended up with 1 dwarf scroll and a strange doll from Elias, 1 plum pudding from Raya, and 1 moss sapling from Wildflower, since these trees actually grow all year around. Day 83 was mostly spent chopping trees, in the Sinister forest and on the farm. The pond construction was done, where I put in an eel so that I can make spicy eel for future Skull Cavern runs. It was another festival evening and today was the Spirit's Eve. I do enjoy the different Halloween outfits that everyone has, but aside from the giant maze and the free golden pumpkin, there's not much to say about this event. And just like that, we have arrived on the final day of the season. I harvested any remaining crops on the field and I saw that the crow started to produce. These guys can bring a variety of different goods, like regular geodes, artifact troves, and even golden animal crackers, so I definitely want to buy more of them in the future. I upgraded the pig to iridium quality, finished the Winter Star bundle thanks to the plum pudding I acquired the other day, picked up the tulips from the greenhouse, and with those completed the Heartfield warp crystal on the farm. The evening was spent making more seeds for the greenhouse, and now I was ready for winter. Sort of. On the very first day of winter, I had Gunther waiting for me outside, who was here to hand me the sewer key. Even during winter, this place looks absolutely gorgeous. I might even like this more than fall. I made sure that my animals had it nice and cozy inside their buildings, maxed out my foraging skill while digging up a random warp totem, and then made my way over to Ari's shop to see if he had any new seeds that I could cultivate. He did have some cheap winter seeds, which I grabbed. Jumana had cyclamen flower seeds, and from Wildflower I got Avarlune seeds. I probably mispronounced all of that. I accepted Linus community cleanup because there's no way I can collect 1,000 pieces of wood in a single week since I chopped down most of the trees right before winter. And of course took the botanist profession for a guaranteed iridium quality forage. The community cleanup is probably one of the easiest requests, since you can just fish for trash on floor 100 inside the mines. The only fish that can spawn down here is the lava eel, and he has a very low chance to appear. Still, I managed to hook one after a minute of fishing and actually reeled it in on my first attempt. I did have a level 3 fishing buff going, so I'm not gonna pretend like this was skill related. After I was done with gathering 20 pieces of trash, I took care of the other mine related fish as well, like the ghostfish, stonefish, and ice pip. I had just enough time to collect the upgraded iridium pig and traded the prize ticket for Friendship 101, which increases the friendship gain when talking with everyone. On day 87 I received a fiber seed crafting recipe from Linus and finished the last warp bundle on the farm by donating 5 large goat milk. Well, that's at least 1 goal completed from the to-do list. Good job, me. I commissioned Robin for a second silo that day, bought 2 rabbits from Marnie since rabbit's food are a loved gift for almost everyone in town. And while I was handing out birthday presents in Sunberry, I saw Rose, who was marveling at Jumana's flower garden. Rose wanted to run away again as soon as she was noticed by other people, but Jumana told her that she doesn't have to be afraid of an old lady like her. This prompted Rose to introduce herself properly, and it's really lovely to see that she's finally making some friends around town. Maya had the Menacing Blade quest posted that day, and I accepted it because I knew that I wanted to go to the Skull Cave very soon. In fact, I wanted to do that today, but I had 0 luck on my side. It couldn't have been any worse than that. Instead, I focused my time on crafting more new artisan machines, like an alchemy table, since I finally had the cloth for that. This allows me to convert forage into more useful items, like this rust skill mushroom combined with 5 cinder leaves gave me 13 tree fertilizer. Pretty damn handy. Day 88 and also 89 were spent in the Skull Cave. I don't have much to report from those two trips, I was mostly just looking for ore and also coal. This allowed me to finally craft iridium sprinklers, 2 of which I placed inside the greenhouse where I have all of my coffee beans, and the rest of the iridium bars were spent on an axe upgrade. On Sunday I had a second pond finished on the farm, and I ended up placing the walleye in here, which was a terrible mistake. So remember during the end of fall when I was fishing for walleyes and I only managed to catch 1 during the entire season? I actually need 2 of those for the fish tank. 1 for the night fishing bundle and a gold quality one for the quality bundle. The thing is, walleyes only spawn during fall, and you can also catch them during winter, but only if you have a rain totem, which I simply cannot craft because I don't have any truffle oil. I thought to myself, oh, I can just place the walleye into the pond and they'll duplicate in there anyways. It's no big deal, right? Well, it turns out it actually is a big deal. See, any fish inside a pond will automatically lose any quality level. So yeah, I have an unlimited supply of walleyes now, but they don't have any quality level. Thus, I am unable to complete the community center this year.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Yep, I know, it sucks. I know it shows here in the video that I haven't donated the largemouth bass either, but I have that. It's in one of my chests, and I just haven't donated it for some reason. I really didn't expect to have any trouble with the bundles this time, but here we are. Unless I can magically get my hands on truffle oil, or a rain totem in general, this is not doable this year. At this point, I haven't realized my mistake yet. I thought I was being smart for once, but oh well. On a more positive note, I spent the majority of my day in the Recolour mines to gather bat wings and also rubies, and actually found everything that I needed in that one single trip. I dropped off all of the materials at Silas's shop, and with that completed the Menacing Blade special order. Maya thanked me for gathering all of the stuff and said that I can even check out the weapon myself if I wanted to. Not today though, since it was the Festival of Ice. I think out of all of the events in Stardew Valley, this is my least favorite one. I don't know why, because I love Christmas and fishing, but this event is just kind of boring. I don't know. So moving over to something more exciting, I finished the winter foraging set the next day, and with that completed another room. Accepted the prismatic jelly from the wizard, as well as Jumana's flower order, and then went back to Silas's blacksmithing shop where I wanted to see the new blade. I was a bit confused at first since Silas's stock was unchanged, but that's when I finally noticed that I can also interact with Maya's weapon display. Could I always do that and I just haven't noticed that up until now? Either way, I was delighted to see that indeed I have a new weapon available now, the Baleful Blade. This thing has a whopping 50 to 100 damage, which is kinda wild, but unfortunately this is a dagger weapon, which is not my style at all. After that I started to look for the prismatic slime and surprisingly found it pretty quickly, like 2 in-game hours later. Before going to bed, I expanded the angel fruit field and I was blessed by 2 Junimos overnight, fixing up the bridge towards the quarry. On 94, I dropped off another diamond for Marnie and purchased a second auto-grabber for the coop. Moved the silos to a new location and started to work on another barn construction. This day was mostly spent on the farm, placing more paths, and I also had my first shed done by now, which is gonna be used for all of the new artisan machines. On Thursday I harvested the cyclamen flowers for Jumana, which I delivered to her shortly after. And today was when I found out that I won't be able to complete the community center this year. I was emptying the fish pond since I didn't need more than 2 walleyes, and I realized my mistake. You live and you learn, I guess. To quench my sadness, I ended up buying The Way of the Wind Part 1 from Marcelo, and then fished down by the beach as it was the first day of the annual Squid Festival. Got my hands on all of the Iridium tier rewards, one of which was the Art of Crabbing. I don't really use crab pots all that much, but I still like to collect all of the different kinds of books. I skipped out on the event the next day and instead ventured into the Sunberry mine system. This time I made it all the way down to floor 16, which appears to be the final level. I started hearing strange sounds, and upon further inspection, they seem to come from this weird plant in the ground. I didn't really know what to make of it and went to get help from Ophelia and Maya, but they were just as clueless as I was. They ended up moving the seed to the surface so that the wizard can have a look at it as well. Before they left, Maya mentioned that I might even find a few interesting fish while down here, and I was really glad that she mentioned this because I didn't even think about that. I found a ton of garbage in the water, but eventually I did end up hooking a fish. I didn't manage to reel it in on my first attempt, also not on the second, but third time was the charm, and it was a legendary fish as well. I wasn't even maxed out in fishing yet, so that was a surprise for sure. Sunday was another geode and mystery box opening, and this finally gave me new items for the museum to donate, as well as for the Sunberry collection, and now I was only missing one blue aura quartz for the mineral section. The second shed construction was done by now, which will be used for any non-artisan machines aside from kegs and preserve jars. I almost never place my machines inside buildings. I always like to keep them close to my farmhouse, but on this map I can't really do that. I crafted a few more big chests since I was already running out of space, and made sure to stop by the night market later, where I spent a good penny on various decorations and seasonal plants. By Tuesday morning I was done with the new and improved chest area, and I was very happy with the results. I had a very interesting letter from Harvey with a coffee grinder recipe attached to it. This right here is a pretty cool machine as it transforms any fruit, nuts, or edible flowers into ground coffee, and it requires coffee beans as fuel, which is super easy for me as I already had a coffee production going. As I was looking around for Emily later, I finally spotted that blue-haired kid again who was hanging around in the startup saloon. When I confronted him about the stolen money, he acted like he didn't know anything about it and just said it was a force of habit? What? Yeah, I'm sorry about robbing you, I do that subconsciously sometimes. Like, is that what he's trying to say? Look, I'm not gonna make a fuss about 10,000 gold, even more so if you just wanted to have some food, but stealing is still wrong. As we were talking, the jukebox in the corner suddenly broke down, and it turns out the little kid knows how to handle tools and offered to take a look at it. Not even 10 seconds passed and he was done with repairing it. The kid keeps mentioning a boss of his, which is the main reason why he came to the valley in the first place, and just as I was about to ask what this boss looks like, John Yuk entered the saloon. Who is indeed the person in question. John Yuk was visibly confused about seeing the kid again, who's known as Spanner by the way, and as they were talking, the jukebox bursted into flames, or rather exploded. The fire was put out quickly, and thankfully nobody got hurt in the process. That was, one very strange cutscene. When I talked with Joe later, he mentioned that Spanner was one of the street urchins back when he used to live in Suzu City. He didn't have any parents nor any guardians, so he took him under his wing, which made me feel bad about him, but then he mentioned that Spanner used to break into his apartment, which is a little concerning, not gonna lie. The following day I completed the field research and children's bundle, checked the vendors at the night market, and fished inside the submarine. I found a pearl, which I didn't even know was possible, and somehow even managed to catch an octopus. That goes into the pond. On Thursday I downloaded 2 more aesthetic mods. First up is animated duck crab pots, and honestly I don't know how I've never heard of this before. Look how adorable these guys are. So cute. And second is Gwen's medieval craftables. Though I have the retexture turned off for most of the items in the game, but I thought for the decorations and also the signs behind the chests, it matches nicely with this. By now I figured out how to make my own cream, and by figured out I mean that I googled it, which is by simply putting milk inside a mayo machine. I can then put the cream inside the coffee brewer along with any ground coffee beans and create my own lattes. One of the lattes I donated towards the bundle at the forest market along with some beer and a few Junimo gems. When I picked up my ancient fruit lattes later, I noticed how profitable coffee brewers actually are. One regular quality ancient fruit latte sells for almost 3,700 gold. Now that's crazy. I know I said that about a lot of things during the span of this video, but this right here takes the cake. So for reference, ancient fruit wine sells for 2,300 gold with the artisan profession. So yeah, I think I have a new late game moneymaker. And I'm so happy that for once it's not wine production, because I am really tired of that by now. On Saturday I visited the quarry for the first time and collected all of the wood, stone, ores and coal that I could find. It's always so satisfying to clear out the quarry in one go. Once I was done with that, I made my way towards the quarry mine, where inside I had a new guy waiting for me, or rather a ghost. I completely forgot that I have a mod installed that adds new trinkets. Obviously this is not relevant for me right now as I don't even have combat maxed out yet, but I am beyond excited to test all of these out later on. I sprinted to the other side of the cave where I picked up the golden scythe and then cleaned up the farm for the remainder of the evening. 105 marks the day of my best Skull Cave trip, so far at least. I found so many treasure floors, the highlights being a seed maker and a freaking auto petter. This also made me realize that it's high time to get my hands on that last bag upgrade, which I did the following morning. Shortly after, I accepted Clint's Cave Patrol quest and purchased the triple shot espresso recipe from Gus. I had a look at the new vendor over at the forest market, and this adorable looking badger has an unlimited supply of coffee brewers and grinders. Just what the doctor ordered. I got 2 of each as well as 1 tea kettle. When I walked into Sunberry Village, I saw that every single townie, as well as Rasmodius, gathered in front of Jumana's flower shop, where we had a look at this weird seedling that I found in the mines the other day. Silas and Raz have been studying it for a few days now, and they think it might be a variant of the purple sunberries. According to some old books, the sunberries were the final blessing of the goddess, and this might be connected to Dr. Saharia's research, who was the person in charge of the Sunberry Museum, but that's just a theory from Elias. Right now there's not much we can do here, as the plant doesn't seem to require any special kind of care, so we agreed to meet back here again in a week from now on. The Sunberry special order board also had a few requests waiting for me, and I took Maya's crop quest, since I can easily combine that with the one from Clint. I planted a few tea saplings that I had inside the greenhouse and moved all of my coffee related machines in here as well. On Tuesday I purchased some wheat flour from Pierce, and with that I had all the necessary items to finish the home cook bundle, completing the bulletin board. I gave Elias and Leah a birthday gift, and then I was busy in the mines looking for the scrubs. I know I've been complaining about the monster related quests, but then I realized I need the combat XP anyways. I'm still 2 levels away from maxing that out. On 108 I made more iridium sprinklers and swapped those out with the regular ones outside. While remodeling the fields, I decided to get rid of the giant forest lavender as well, since I like to have the giant crops in a different area. By now I also had enough hardwood accumulated to fix up the old stump next to Marnie's ranch. Upon completing the bulletin board, you'll receive a friendship boost with every single villager, and this prompted Linus to send me a new book the next day, being the Alleyway Buffet Part 2, which gives me a small chance to find any gems in trash cans. But more importantly, I had max hearts with Marnie now, and for this I got the Dairy Mastery, which is exactly what I wanted. This modded book makes milk and cheese 20% more valuable. I'm really trying to get away from the ancient fruit wine production, as I always end up doing this in every single run and it's so boring. So I'm hoping that this is reliable when it comes to late game money making, but we'll see. Today was the Feast of Winter Star, and I had Cho as my secret gift receiver, whom I handed one of my precious triple shot espressos. Ripley was my secret gift friend, and from her I got 10 deluxe speed grow, which is actually a really decent gift. I need that for the greenhouse, so thanks Ripley. On Friday I had yet again more letters in my mailbox, and one of which was from Pam with an ale keg crafting recipe. This is something that I definitely want to try out, but it's so incredibly expensive to craft, so I'll wait with that. I said hello to the little raccoon who moved into the new treehouse. Then I checked the quarry, where I got very lucky and found 1 topaz node, which was the last item that I needed for Maya's battle axe request. Since I didn't really know what else to do, I started on Mr. Cheese quest by donating 1 battery pack to this box inside the tunnel, the rainbow shell up by the train tracks, placing 10 beads inside the mayor's fridge, and lastly the solar essence for the sand dragon. While I was at the desert, I purchased a few starfruit seeds from Sandy, picked up the club card next to my house, and planted the starfruit inside the greenhouse. The new year was right around the corner, and I wanted to be prepared for the next season as best as I can, so I spent pretty much the entire following 2 days on the farm. I swapped out any remaining quality sprinklers with iridium ones, and I was very pleased with the new and improved field. I crafted 2 more frequency extractors for the artisan shed, since these are relatively cheap machines and perfume sells for a nice chunk of money. And here we are on day 112, the final day of this year. For the last time I checked the traveling card, and I've been doing this for the past in-game weeks, but sadly I didn't have any luck with truffle oil nor with any rain totems. So the community center remains unfinished, for now at least. The second barn was completely upgraded by now, and I originally wanted to use this building for familiars, but I still only had crows unlocked. So instead of familiars, I ended up buying 12 cows and 2 pigs. But the cows are more important. See, in order to keep my latte empire going, I need a ton of cream. So I'm hoping that these 12 cows are enough for a steady cream supply, but we'll see next year. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I had so much fun playing with all of these new mods, and I am beyond excited to record more of this. We have a lot to do next year, and I hope to see you there. These videos take a ton of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed watching, then please leave a like, it helps me out a ton. If you have any other mod recommendations, then feel free to leave a comment down below. I read every single one and usually reply to most of them. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.